Why do Bedouins wear black robes in hot deserts? Have you ever looked at the scorching desert sun and wondered, why would anyone wear black in this heat? Imagine standing under a relentless sun in the middle of a hot desert like the Sinai. The sand burns beneath your feet, heat rises in waves from the ground, and even the wind feels like it's blowing straight out of an oven. Now imagine seeing someone calmly walking through this furnace, wrapped from head to toe in heavy flowing black robes. Not white, not beige, but black. It seems completely illogical. After all, we've all heard it. Black absorbs heat, white reflects it. That's why people in hot climates usually opt for lighter colors. So, why do Bedouins, people who have spent centuries living in some of the hottest deserts on Earth, wear black? Is this simply tradition? A cultural choice without scientific reasoning? Or have we misunderstood how color, heat, and clothing actually work in extreme environments? To understand the answer, we have to go deeper than just color theory. We have to explore tradition, science, and one of the most misunderstood examples of survival clothing in human history. Let's begin with the people at the heart of this question: the Bedouins. The Bedouins are nomadic Arab tribes who have lived across deserts like the Sinai, the Negev, and the vast Arabian Peninsula for thousands of years. For them, the desert is not just a place, it's home. And every aspect of their lifestyle has evolved to help them survive its harsh conditions. From how they build their tents, to the types of animals they herd, to the food they eat, everything is optimized for a hot, dry, and often unpredictable environment. But perhaps one of the most iconic and visually striking adaptations is what they wear. Their clothing is more than just attire, it's a survival tool. The robes are long, loose, and flowing. They're called abaya for men and jalabia, or hijab, for women. These garments cover almost the entire body, including the head and arms. They're worn in layers, and they are almost always black. It's easy to assume this is just tradition, a fashion choice passed down through generations. But if it were just tradition, wouldn't practicality have forced a change? After all, desert survival is unforgiving. Ineffective solutions don't last long in such conditions. So, maybe there's more to the story. Let's take a closer look at the science of heat. In the desert, the dominant force at play is solar radiation. The sun's rays hit everything with incredible intensity, transferring heat in three ways: radiation, conduction, and convection. Radiation comes directly from the sun, pouring energy into everything it touches. Conduction is heat transfer through direct contact, like when your skin touches a sun heated rock. And convection is heat carried by air or fluids, in this case, the desert wind moving around your body. Among these, radiation is the strongest in the desert. It heats your clothing, your skin, and the ground beneath your feet. And according to basic physics, black absorbs more radiation than white. So, black clothing should, in theory, make you hotter. But real world physics isn't always that simple. In the 1980s, a group of researchers in Israel decided to test this very assumption. Among them was Dr. M. Shkolnick, who led a scientific study to investigate why the Bedouins wore black and whether it truly made a difference. They published their findings in the journal Nature, and the results were not what anyone expected. The team measured the heat absorbed by different colored fabrics, primarily black and white robes, under direct desert sunlight. They also measured how much of that heat actually made it to the skin. As expected, the black fabric absorbed more heat from the sun. But here's where it gets interesting. Most of that heat never reached the skin underneath. The reason had to do with how the robes were constructed and how they functioned thermally. The black robes, while absorbing more solar energy, also created stronger air currents within the garment due to their heating. That warmed outer layer of air began to rise, drawing cooler air in from below. This internal air circulation, convection, carried much of the absorbed heat away before it could touch the skin. In other words, the robe acted like a miniature cooling system. It turns out that the robes aren't just black, they're also extremely loose. That looseness is key. The space between the fabric and the skin acts as an insulating air buffer. As the black robe heats up, the hot air rises and escapes from the top of the garment, while cooler air enters from below, as if continually replacing it. The flow of air under the robe helps ventilate the body and remove heat. So even though black fabric absorbs more heat, it also helps trigger the very airflow that prevents that heat from reaching the person wearing it. In some cases, this system works even better than white robes. Now let's pause for a moment and think about tight black clothing, like a black t shirt or skinny jeans on a hot day. Those garments cling to your skin, and when they heat up, you feel it immediately. That's because there's no air buffer, no internal convection. The heat gets transferred directly into your body. But the Bedouin robes don't cling, they flow. Every step creates movement in the fabric. Every breeze pushes air through the garment. It's dynamic and constantly self ventilating. This explains how Bedouins are able to stay cool even in black clothing. The robes don't trap heat, they manage it. But the story doesn't end with clothing. The Bedouins also raise black goats, which seems equally puzzling. Wouldn't white haired animals be better suited to the desert? Not necessarily. Black goats have evolved to absorb heat during the chilly desert nights, which can drop to surprisingly low temperatures. During the day, their coarse hair prevents heat from penetrating deeply. They rest in shaded areas and use behavioral adaptations to avoid overheating. Once again, nature finds balance. And their wool? It's used to make traditional black tents, durable, breathable, and perfect for desert life. These tents reflect the same principles as the robes: absorb heat on the outside, insulate and ventilate on the inside. When we look at all of this together, the black robes, the black goats, the structure of the tents, we begin to see a larger picture. One where tradition is backed by scientific insight. One where centuries of experience have led to optimal survival strategies. The Bedouins didn't need modern science to understand what worked. Their solutions were based on observation, trial and error, and cultural wisdom passed through generations. But when scientists finally investigated these traditions, they discovered elegant and effective thermodynamic principles at play. It's a reminder that modern science can often validate ancient knowledge, and that both have something to offer. So, what does this mean for the rest of us? For one, it challenges the simplistic idea that black equals hot and white equals cool. The reality is far more nuanced. It depends on fabric thickness, airflow, body movement, and the environment. In dry, sun blasted places, loose fitting black robes can actually help keep you cool. But that doesn't mean you should wear black, tight jeans in Florida heat. It's all context. This understanding is even shaping the future. Military clothing, outdoor gear, and performance apparel are now incorporating lessons from desert cultures. Engineers are developing fabrics and designs that mimic the ventilation and insulation properties of Bedouin robes. This is a field called biomimicry, learning from nature and traditional systems to create innovative technology. From architecture to clothing, ancient solutions are inspiring modern efficiency. Next time you see someone in black on a hot day, maybe they're not suffering in silence. Maybe they're channeling generations of desert wisdom. And maybe the assumptions we've grown up with deserve a second look. Because the real lesson here isn't just about color or clothing, it's about the power of adaptation, about how people living in the world's harshest environments have developed not only the tools to survive, but to thrive. The Bedouins, with their flowing black robes and sun worn traditions, are more than survivors. They are engineers of the human body's comfort. And their story proves that sometimes the smartest way forward begins by looking back. If you found this exploration fascinating, consider sharing it with someone else who might enjoy seeing the world a little differently. And stay curious, because the answers to our most puzzling questions are often hiding in plain sight.